Going through TSA airport security in 2026 is different. Things have changed, and some of these changes you will love, while others you definitely will not love. Music. In today's video, we're breaking down everything you need to know to get through airport security as quickly as possible with no additional screening and no confiscated items. And if you've ever stood there thinking, but this worked last time, then you're not alone, and you're also not crazy. The theme of airport security with TSA this year seems to be inconsistency. Not every airport lane or officer is operating the same way yet. Sometimes you'll breeze through security with everything in your bag, and other times you'll get the full treatment, even when you follow the exact same packing routine. The first major change is that Rookie Mistakes TSA is currently hiring thousands of new officers across the country. While that should eventually mean shorter lines, it also means you're far more likely to encounter agents who are still learning the ropes. And here's the part that's driving travelers crazy, and I think you'll understand why. New officers tend to follow the rules very literally because they're being trained to do everything by the book. I saw this firsthand on a recent flight from Newark when a brand new TSA agent spent a solid 10 minutes examining everything in my 311 liquids bag to make sure each bottle I was carrying was 3.4 Oz or 100 ml or new CT scanners, new rules, less. This brings us to the next point of inconsistency, which is that new CT scanners are being installed at airports nationwide. These scanners are designed to let you keep liquids and electronics in your bag. But as you can see from my example, I packed my liquids properly and left them in my bag as instructed, but they still ended up being the reason my bag was flagged for a search as it went through the CT scanner. New scanners do exist, and they do often allow you to keep things like your electronics and your liquids inside of your carry-on suitcase or your personal item bag as they go through the scanner. But the trouble is that they don't exist everywhere. And even if they are installed and maybe you use them one day, it doesn't mean that you're going to be using them the next time you go through that checkpoint. These scanners are a little finicky and they can be a little inconsistent as well. And if a scanner is having a bad day, you are having a bad day. The safest move is to pack your personal item bag and carry-on suitcase as if you'll need to remove your large electronics and liquids and place them in the gray screening bin. That way, no matter what type of checkpoint you hit, you'll be ready. When it comes to electronics, one of the biggest reasons bags get flagged is dense electronics. When laptops, tablets, power banks, chargers, and cables are stacked together, they create a dense mass that alarms X-ray machines. Spread electronics throughout your bag instead of clustering them together. Keep cables organized in a small pouch and always double-check for forgotten water bottles. One missed water bottle will trigger your entire bag search. Now let's talk about liquids because liquid rule twist in 2026, this is where things get really confusing. What has changed is that sometimes you need to take the liquids bag out and place it in a screening bin and sometimes you don't. While there is inconsistency in its enforcement, it's important to know that the 311 liquid rule itself hasn't changed. And this is where TSA tends to lose people because even when their rules are clear, the experience going through the checkpoint is not. According to the TSA guidelines effective right now, liquids must be in containers of 3.4 Oz or smaller, all fitting in one quart-sized clear bag with one bag per traveler. If it pours, spreads, sprays, or gels, TSA considers it a liquid. That includes things like water, shampoo, toothpaste, sunscreen, and even liquidy foods like soup, or creamy foods like mashed potatoes and gravy. To avoid problems, keep your liquids in a clear, quart-sized bag that's easy to pull out. Store it near the top of your carry-on so you can remove it quickly if asked, even if the last airport you flew through didn't require it. Let us know down in the video comments if you had to take your liquids bag out and place it in a screening bin the last time you went through the airport security checkpoint. I'm always very happy to share with you that TSA is actually quite accommodating to travelers that have medical needs or medications or any medical devices. Medical liquids are exempt from the size "why you get stopped" limit. This includes prescription liquid medications, injectable medications like Ompic, insulin, and other pre-filled pens. Over-the-counter medical liquids, such as saline solution for contacts or liquid cold medicine, are also allowed in larger quantities. These do not need to fit in your quart-sized bag, but you should declare them to the officer if asked. There is also a fun exception to the liquid rule that tends to surprise travelers, although now TSA has officially confirmed it even on their Instagram page. Frozen liquids are allowed as long as they are completely frozen solid when you go through the checkpoint. If the item has started to melt or has any liquid at the bottom, it no longer qualifies and can be confiscated. And this is a good place to explain why can you bring this. TSA is being so strict and sometimes slow. I just mentioned that totally frozen liquids are allowed through security even though regular liquids aren't. But that doesn't mean everything gets a free pass. A frozen water bottle is fine. A frozen knife is still a knife, which apparently needs to be said since TSA shared this on their Instagram recently. TSA has to make those judgment calls thousands of times a day, often based on how something looks on a scanner, not just what the rule technically says. Just in the last few months, agents have found drugs hidden inside a label maker. What appeared to be a real anti-personnel mine that shut down an entire checkpoint, even though it turned out to be inert. And at Newark Airport, a 3-foot sword blade hidden inside a walking cane. Someone else tried to bring a sickle through security. Those items are not allowed ever. I love the TSA Instagram page. It's both educational and a reminder at just how creative people can be. So creative, it's ridiculous. Another update that shoes on or off rolled out last year was that you can now keep your shoes on at most TSA checkpoints, even without pre-check. If you are wondering if TSA pre-check is even worth it anymore now that we are moving to a system where everyone can keep their shoes on and their electronics packed away, you're probably on to something. Pre-check still helps in TSA pre-check fail. Some cases with shorter lines, but it's not the guaranteed breeze it once was. So many travelers have signed up that pre-check lines can now be just as long as standard security at busy airports. In fact, they even had to update their marketing materials to say 10 minutes to get through when it used to be an average of 5 minutes. Pre-check still reduces your screening time at some busy airports, but its effectiveness varies greatly by airport. Do some research on the specific airports you fly out of most frequently and see if the TSA pre-check line is really that much quicker. TSA is cracking down harder on lithium batteries in check luggage, spare batteries, power banks, and some electronic devices must go in your carry-on. Cordless hairstyling tools that use butane cartridges or lithium batteries are now banned from check luggage due to fire risk. You can bring them in your carry-on only if they have a safety cover over the heating element. If you're unsure whether something is allowed, Ask TSA is one of the most useful tools available. You can send them a photo or even an Amazon link, and a real TSA agent will respond through Instagram, Facebook, Messenger, text, or X. What can be annoying is that sometimes even if you followed all of the rules and you did nothing wrong, your bag can still end up being pulled for an additional screening. Which, by the way, unless you are super crunched for time and there is a long line, an additional screening is not a big deal, and it often only takes a few minutes. TSA Cares is another free service for travelers who need extra help. If you contact them at least 72 hours before your flight, they can arrange for a passenger support specialist to guide you through security. They also don't require you to provide a reason for why you need their service, so anyone can use it whether you have a diagnosed disability that requires extra support or are just a bit nervous about the "forgot your ID." Do this whole process Another rule that's now being enforced consistently is having proper identification to board your flight. For domestic flights, you must have an acceptable form of ID. The most common one is a real ID-compliant driver's license, but it's not the only option. TSA has a full list of acceptable IDs on their website, and it includes things like passports, global entry cards, military IDs, and certain digital IDs at select checkpoints. Starting February 1, 2026, TSA will charge a $45 fee if you show up without acceptable identification. This is called Confirm ID, and it's a last resort option, not something you want to rely on. If this happens, you pay the fee and go through an identity verification process that can take up to 30 minutes. Once cleared, you're allowed to fly for up to 10 days, which usually covers a round trip. Depending on how you look at it, Confirm ID is actually a good thing because, I don't know about you, but I would much rather pay $45 and go through the Confirm ID process than not be able to fly at all. It's also important to remember that TSA Confirm ID is designed specifically for domestic air travel within the United States for passengers 18 and older. The process will not help you if you are taking an international flight. Another change rolling out at Always Pick This Lane. TSA is automated screening, lanes or ASLs. These are the newer security lanes where multiple travelers can load bins at the same time instead of waiting one by one. Bags move on a conveyor belt through the X-ray machine. Empty bins automatically come back to the front, and items that need extra screening are pulled aside so the entire line doesn't stop. When you see an automated screening lane, don't just follow the person in front of you. If there's an open loading station, step into it immediately. You do not have to wait for the traveler ahead of you to finish unloading their bags. In these lanes, the people closest to the scanner move first, regardless of how long others have been waiting. Your best move is to take the open station closest to the scanner, so your bins go straight in and you move through faster. Getting through TSA effectively is one of the most stressful and least fun parts of travel, but flying can still be really fun, especially if you know how to make the best travel hacks most of it. I break down some of the best, totally legal and super simple travel hacks for your next flight in this video on the screen now and linked in the description. I picked these up after over 300 flights, and I wish I had known them sooner. Don't forget to hit subscribe to join Ollie and me back here for more travel tips and hacks each week, and we will see you in that next video soon. Bye.